In today's video, we're going to be going over magic weaving and basically all the information we know about it. I know there's some things that certain people didn't cover, so I want to just cover basically everything we know up to this point, and including some extra things that I haven't seen anyone mention, but are very, very interesting, and I think you should really know if you are going to be doing advanced combat in team scenarios, and then of course regular PvE. So look forward to that towards this video. And yeah, so let's get into magic weaving. I'll tell you guys everything about it. So essentially, after you defeat Mouser, you have a few introductory quests. You'll be able to do some tutorial quests that essentially will teach you a little bit about arc mastery, the magic wheel, and introduce you into the new thing called magic weaving. And then after that, of course, you can go to like Celestia, but essentially they wanted to take this opportunity to kind of smooth out the quests between Dragonspire and Celestia, because it's a bit jarring right now with some of the quests kind of just missing there. So this whole magic weaving concept starts literally right after you defeat Mouser. You'll get introduced into this whole thing, right? Into arc mastery, into weaving, into the whole magic wheel, so you get a better understanding as a player. Now, I do want to note that this is all optional. You do not have to do this whole magic weaving stuff, which we'll get into a little bit more. So this is where it all starts. Now, doing this whole quest line will take you to the Blending Grove. That new area, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but it starts with an S or whatever. But essentially, you'll be able to go through there via Croc. It's not a new world, because I know some people assumed we'll be getting a new world, but they've made it clear these past couple months we're not going to be getting a new world. It's essentially just a new area that you can visit via Crocotopia. So think of it just as like a tiny expansion to Crocotopia, but it's not really tiny, but it's pretty big because you'll be able to do more things in there, right? So there's that. So with this whole concept, you'll be able to select one of the trees in the teaser image. I'll toss that up on screen right now, but you'll be able to select one of those trees as like your secondary school. So kind of like dual schooling in a way. You'll be able to choose your secondary school within those trees. Now, if you look at the teaser image, you can see that there's a larger tree kind of a little bit behind them. Now, essentially, they kind of base this whole tree and everything like that based upon a banyan tree. So it's like one big organism. I kind of toss an image of a banyan tree as well, so you guys can see like where the reference is from. So it's like kind of like it's one big organism. And I want you to keep in mind that these trees are separate than the ones in the Ravenwood, right? This is completely separate trees, so their own separate thing, right? So try not to get them too mixed up. But each world will have an increase of your weaving rank, so kind of like crafting, where like essentially whenever you do your crafting quest, you go to world by world and you have to do this quest, right? And once you finish that quest, you'll be able to rank up. Now, there's not timers or anything like that, don't ignore that part. But when it comes to the ranking system, it's 1, 2, 3, but you start off after Dragonspire. So once you finish Dragonspire, you'll be rank 1. Once you finish Celestia, you'll be rank 2, and then once you finish Zephyria, you'll be rank 3. Currently, there's only 3 ranks of magic weaving. Eventually, every year they are planning to add one more rank, so if you want to look forward to that, we'll always every year have one additional rank. Don't know if they'll do multiple ranks at a time, because that is a huge toll, but I assume they'll just keep doing one every year, so always look forward to that. Also, when it comes to the magic weaving stuff, there is a small quest line for each rank, right? So you'll get like a badge as well, so treat that as like another reference of kind of crafting in a way. Now that you know all that information of the ranking system, how do you start, and everything like that, or like the little bit of information about what are these trees and stuff like that. Now, what's the point of doing all this? What do you get? Now, keep in mind, this is optional. The rewards that you get from magic weaving is exclusive spells, jewels, and there's a third reward that we do not know yet. They will showcase this reward on the next dev live stream, and I'll try my best to cover it if I'm not too busy that day, because I know like I'm getting kind of busy at the moment. So luckily I have time to like squeeze in these videos time to time, because I know a lot of people have been asking me to. But yeah, at the moment you get exclusive spells and jewels. The third reward we do not know. Now, those spells do include dual blades, dual traps, and we don't know what else spells are there. Now, if I had to take a guess, this is my assumption, like I said, we do not know of this at the moment. I would have to take a guess we'll get dual auras. Now, it's not confirmed, but like I said, the only reason I have this in my mind is because we've had dual damage auras in the past. The reason of this is, if you remember the Atavis fight in Novus, when you polymorph, certain polymorphs gives you access to dual school auras. So it's very possible, but like I said, it's not confirmed. It's just me assuming that. But yes, with the traps and blades, that will be a thing as well. Will you be able to get traps and blades for every school? No. The one school that's a little bit confusing is balance, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well. So when you pick a school that you want to weave into, the best way to describe it is like dual school. But just remember that you can't pick your own school. So if I am fire, for example, I can't just go to the fire tree and be like, hey, I want to weave into you. You can't be fire into fire. That's just not how it works, right? So you'll get different quests depending on the school you choose. So for example, if I'm a fire and I weave into storm, and I have a friend over here who's a life and he also wants to weave into storm, we'll have the same quest line, but the quest will be slightly different just to show how the weaving works for each school. So if I'm fire weaving into storm, or if I'm life weaving into storm, there'll be some slight altercations to certain quests, like little things to show how life weaves into storm, or fire weaves into storm. So they'll still be the same quests and stuff. Now, learning the new spells, I want you to keep in mind, think of it as like a new trainer, like a new school trainer, right? Do you have to learn these? No. Are they free? No. So you have to use training points that you get from Zeke and stuff like that, or just from leveling up on these spells, right? Like I said, this is an optional, whole thing is optional, but if you want to have the spells, you will have to use training points. Now you can reset as well. So if I weave into a certain school and I don't like weaving into the school anymore, I can reset it and I can weave into a different school. It's only going to reset your weaving path, so you'll get the training points back for the school that you weaved into. It's not going to reset your training points for every school that you have trained into, like ice, whatever, like in the vent or the spell vendors, like enchants. It's not going to reset any of that. It's only going to reset the weaving spells that you weaved into, like the dual blades, dual traps, etc., right? It will reset that, but like you can switch at any point in time, which is the cool thing about this. Now, another question I've seen a lot of people ask is, if I weave into a school, does that mean I have a mastery in that school? When people think of mastery, they're like, oh, I can just use my power pips with like storm spells now, for example. Like if I'm fire into storm, oh, I have power pips now for storm. That's not how it works, sadly. I know a lot of people thought that was gonna happen, but actually it's not. You still have to use school pips, so just remember, if you don't know what school pips are, you don't know all about that, we'll have a whole quest line in the game with Test Realm talking about school pips. But yeah, you have to still switch your school pip to whatever spell you're going to be using. So if it's like a storm spell, you still use storm pips and stuff like that as a fire, right? You can use a mastery amulet if you would like, but like I said, the whole weaving process does not give you a mastery in that school, because then this wouldn't feel as optional. I feel like a lot of more people would treat this as you need to do it, but no, it's still optional, like I said. But I'd still highly recommend that you guys do magic weaving and stuff. Now, there's some other things I do want to talk about. Now, these are some extra things which I haven't seen really anyone talk about, and I think it's very important to notice about these things, because this is going to accelerate fights a lot. So the blades that you get, or the traps that you get, depending on the school. So for example, this is my assumption based upon like how certain schools work. So for example, if I were to weave into fire, I would get a trap. So if I'm a storm and I weave into fire, I would get a storm and fire trap. Now if I'm a storm and I weave into ice, I would get a storm ice trap. And if I'm a storm, obviously I can't weave into storm, but if I was a fire and I weaved into storm, I would get dual blades for fire and storm. If I was a storm and I weaved into life, I'll get storm life blades. And then if I weaved into death, I would get storm death blades. And then myth, I would get storm myth traps. But balance, we do not know. The way that they explained it on the dev stream, it's very confusing. I feel like a lot of people are going to be looking forward to balance, but it's like balance is all things, so it's a lot of questioning about that. But the utility of the first spell you'll get is depending on the school you're weaving to. So now that we know that information, excluding bounce, because we don't know how bounce is actually going to work. Now, if you keep that in mind, now let me give you an example of a fight. So let's say we have 4 people in a fight, right? We're all doing this boss. Let's just say this boss is a little bit tough. It's not one roundable, but we need better buffs, right? Let's say you can't fate in that fight, etc. Dual blades exist. So if I have 4 team members, team number 1 is a fire weaving into storm. Team number 2 is an ice weaving into storm. Team number 3 is a death weaving into storm. And let's just say the last person's a regular storm. Now that you know that you can't faint in that fight, you can't do like backdraft or anything like that, what's my next option? These dual blades give you 45% blades. Now, in advanced combat, of course, you can't enchant these, but if we were to all cast these dual blades on the last person, they all stack. So you'll have so many 45 blades, and on top of that, that's not even me including sharpening the blades. If you sharpen those blades, you'll get 55% blades. We're like getting to faint level blades for 2 pips. Now, this has definitely intrigued my mind a lot because it makes me question what are the trap percentages, because the thing is, if they make these self only, I feel like I'm not going to be using these spells realistically. It'll be very dependent, I guess, but still I don't see myself using them if they're self dependent. Like you can only cast them on yourself and that's it, because then everyone's just gonna start using traps in like team fights, and you know, that would just make things just flip flop. So we'll just have to wait to see how powerful these blades are, because yeah, that's a very side note that I do want to talk about and not many people have talked about. And yeah, the stacking ability is gonna go crazy. We're gonna have regular blades, sharpen regular blades, spirit blades, elemental blades. Then we have backdraft, feints, and then of course dual blades now. So like stacking is gonna go crazy. So if people are like worried about buffs and stuff like that, and literally you can just weave into a school of like the hitter. Now, obviously in like certain scenarios, you know, with random people in like team up and stuff like that, not everyone's gonna weave into the same school, and that's assuming even people are carrying them in the regular deck. It's going to be very niche depending on the fights, because obviously if you can feint in a fight, you can backdraft in a fight, people are just going to do that. But if that is off the table, we just literally can just blade stack the last person with 55% blades, and you can still do some pretty hefty damage, right? And that's of course, you know, in a regular PvE fight, it's not really too much of an will right? You can always do like will cast Hex, will cast Curse, and stuff like that. So it's still a very intriguing thought, and I just want people to realize that. So that's basically everything I have regarding magic weaving. If I missed out anything, let me know in the comments down below, but I kind of got all the information I can from a couple people I know, and kind of just like wrote down some thoughts as well. So hopefully this gives you guys a better idea of magic weaving and things that we can look forward to. So be on the lookout for all that. And then of course, whenever we do get another dev stream, I will try my best to record a video and talk about my thoughts and opinions, of course. But this is the initial thing I want to talk about, and then in the next couple of days I should be able to record another video. It just depends on what things I have to do for college. So yeah, but that is it. Leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff. Join Discord if you guys haven't. I definitely will be in the Discord more often if I can. It just depends. It just depends. But yeah, be on the lookout for all the content, the streams as well. I should be back to streaming soon, don't know yet, but be on the lookout for all that type of content. So yeah, that is it for me, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.